Okay, let's have a look at the Crazy Creatures project, and you'll see why it's called that. Because there's a subtle thing we've got to do about changing the hub, and the Crazy Creatures won't dance around unless we do that. So the conventional way of the hub being attached would be straight onto the spindle of the motor. So there's our hub spinning around. So normally we'd just attach a wheel on the end of there, or an elastic band could be hooked around underneath the hub, and then it could be used to drive a pulley. That's another possibility. But the Crazy Creatures project doesn't need smooth operation of the hub, so that's nice and even and symmetrical. It needs to create vibration, and for this to create vibration, the hub needs to be attached off center, and when it's off center, that's when it can cause vibration or to and fro motion. So let's just take the hub off. Let's just be careful taking things off and putting them back on again, because they're quite a tight fit. So that's the central hole that we wouldn't normally use, and now we've got to make it off center. So what I've done with that is, look, I've put a hole in the side of the hub. So I'll just try and highlight this one. I've got a hole in the side of the hub, and it's off to one side. So that means if this fits onto the spindle of the motor, it'll go left and right like that. So let's give it a go. Let's put that on. Now it's easy to do it, much easier to do it with a motor before you've added the wires, but it's not a problem. We'll get over that. And can you see I'm putting my thumb on the back of the motor? The plastic part in the back of the motor is a weak spot, and if we just push really hard with this, we could push the plastic back right out of the motor and destroy it. It's only actually held on by two tiny little metal tags. So we've just got to be careful not to destroy the motor when we do this. But thumb on the back, that's the best way to do it. And then push. Now the thing might jump out of the way. It hasn't gone on first time. It might just jump out of the way, but we just got to try. There it goes. There it goes. So it's partly on there now. Let's have a look. Two thumbs on the back, fingers on the front. We're getting there. Fabulous. So it's gone in so that it spins in that off-center fashion there. So we've got another one here. That needs to be taken off, and the same thing has to be done. However, we've got all the wires to contend with. Let's give it a try and see how we go. So we're going to try and take this one off. So I'm just going to get my fingers around like a claw really and try and prise it up bit by bit. There we go. There it goes. And now we want to try and locate that other hole. There it is, and push it on. Well, you can see what's going to happen if we don't support the back. The whole motor is going to get pushed backwards out of the hole. So we're going to have to get our finger on the back, push it on a little bit at a time. Switched it on. Oops, switched it on there accidentally. Now here's a tip. If you just take a piece of card and bend it over, and you put that in the back first. Now try to keep the wires out of the way. Use your card as like a cushion, and now push. That's better. And there it is. Fitted on there now. So that just protects your fingers a little bit really while you're doing the pushing. So let's just give it a try now. So we wired up a switch a while ago. It's on in a previous video, and I can feel the whole thing shake when I turn that on. So if we want to make a jittering creature out of this, or a crazy creature, all sorts of names. They do jitter along, so maybe that's an alternative name. So that's going to be the base, because that's where the battery is. So it's got a lower center of gravity. So if you try and operate it that way up, because all the weight's at the top and in the middle with the motor, then the thing just keeps falling over immediately. So let's try and operate it with the battery in the bottom, so that way up, and then switch it on. Well, it immediately starts running around the place. So we've got to sight the switch. Well, the best place for the switch, so remember, we don't want to be switching it on from the bottom all the time. The best place for the switch here would be up in the air. Now later we'll create a body around it, and if the switch is up in the air, it makes it easier for you to get at the switch to turn it on and off. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's just try and run the wires up the back, and then use some sticky tape. Masking tape's the best because it can be peeled back off again on the foam. It doesn't stick permanently to the foam. There it goes. That wire's a bit problematic, isn't it? So what we'll do is we'll just tuck that in and we'll hide it underneath the elastic band at the bottom, and we'll try and get the wires as neat as we can out of the way. And if they're out of the way, they won't catch on things and start to be pulled off and stop the thing from working. So let's try and switch it on now. Well, I can't be holding it all the time. I can't be following it around. We've got to have it independent. So now we could go back to the idea of having the magnet. Let's see. Oh, can you see I've put a thicker card switch on this one? So this was cut from a cereal box, I think it is, or something like that. So if we put the magnet on, well, because it's stronger card, it doesn't want to. Whoa. Because he's stronger card, he doesn't want to stay on. So with a stronger magnet, I wonder if I've got one handy. Oh yes, we have. There we are. Let's have a look. Come back. Oh, he's coming back again. Well, these are great fun because straight away it seems to have a life of its own, and because of that we can think about it becoming a sort of a creature, hence crazy creatures. They're uncontrollable. Well, there are some things we can do about controlling them, but at the moment he just jumps around all over the place, which is good. That's absolutely fine. So now what we're going to do, we are going to look at maybe creating a body. Well, just by using card, it's really straightforward. Card and bits of tape, so there's a bit of card. If you wanted to be more stable on a base, so it's only on a small area at the moment, and sometimes it does bump into things and fall over, which isn't a bad thing, but if we were to just use some sticky tape and create a base, well, what effect does that have on it? Let's have a try. Let's have a try. Well, that's definitely sort of tamed it a bit. And if you experiment with all sorts of different add-ons, for example, a counterweight, you can actually get them. Maybe there's not enough weight in that one. You can get them to go in different directions. Oops. Come back. I think I was more successful with it on there, wasn't I? Can you see he seems to be pivoting around the weight I've added? So if you experiment with weights in different places, and that's just a piece of blue tack. So it's great fun doing that. A counterweight somewhere can completely change it, and a base can change it as well. You could make the base look like feet, couldn't you? So it would look like a proper creature's feet. So that's what a base can do. Switch you off again. So now let's look at a body. Well, just by using simply some card, you can create all manner of different bodies. So here's a first attempt. Look, a couple of arms like some sort of a robot creature. He hasn't got a head at the moment. A decorative sort of front, and then where would he fit? Well, the whole thing fits right over the top. And then, because this spins round and round and round, we can't have a body that's in the way, so hence that's being made larger than life and sticks out like that. It looks rather odd with these the way the head is, but the switch could be part of the head, I suppose. If we fit a head on the top, the switch is on the back. That sounds perfect. So you get the idea. Let's give it a quick go. Just attach it with a piece of sticky tape. Double the tape over is a good idea. Pop them on like that. And it looks like he's going to need one more bit near the bottom, just temporarily. So let's put a piece of tape near the bottom. Good thing about masking tape, you can peel it off. You can peel it off. Well, you're not going to get a very good view of this because at my level, the creature would be moving around in my plane, in the plane of the paper. You'll just see it as an aerial view, won't you? Oops, he's got caught on a gadget there. Come off. Come here. Oops, coming towards me there. Get back. Turn around again. So they're great fun, these, and can you imagine if you created like an arena and you had two of them? Maybe we could have sort of a that program with the robots where they try and destroy each other. So that would be a fun thing to do, right? And then another possibility, a different type of body. So that's like a square shape, a cuboid shape, but it's got to be a tube, hasn't it? A tube, otherwise you can't fit it over the top of the block. So what if we were to take a cylinder shape? So if you've got a cylinder, so there's a cardboard cylinder, then how about if we did this then? Well, could we put it on that way? Yeah, we could. It's got a long way to go, and of course, because it's so tall, it would be very top heavy and therefore fall over quite easily. Well, is that a bad thing? I don't think it is, because with battling creatures, you could say, all right, they've got to be a certain height, and therefore everybody's got the same like overbalancing problem. And if yours can knock the other one over, well, you're the winner. So with this one, look, I've already cut a piece out like that, and this fits in like this, and the cut out piece goes around, and it creates sort of a skirt around it, and it looks a bit like a tree, doesn't it? So this would be what, I don't know, one of the Ents from Lord of the Rings. So a moving tree. He seems to have picked up a noisy vibration. I think he's actually catching against the card. Well, that's not a bad thing. Maybe we could create different sounds by deliberately making that happen. So there's my moving tree. So, jittering creatures, loads and loads of fun, all because of that off-centre hub. It's not really acting as a hub because it's not the centre of a wheel anymore or a disc, but it is an off-centre mass, really, people would call it, an off-centre mass, therefore it causes a vibration. Absolutely fabulous. Right, have fun with that.